Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Sports Time HQ. I am indeed your host for today's show, of course, and I'm joined with my great co-host, Gary. Gary, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. I was thinking to myself today, it is the NFL offseason, of course, but I think we're pretty much approaching the midway point. So, for all my NFL fans, I know that's everybody out there, of course, watching this show, keep that head up because we're about halfway done.
Halfway done, indeed. I mean, we're already just approaching June. Pretty soon, July, and then
Yep.
August is preseason.
The camps are starting up. Yep, exactly. Yep,
It's crazy to think how fast it's already gone.
I know. That's why I
I
was
think
just
we're
thinking
already
about that
one
today.
month. We're 1 month past the draft already.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, it's gonna be a great season though. I'm excited,
Yeah,
and it's gonna
I'm
come just
also
like that.
excited. Yeah.
You excited to see Shador Sanders start or maybe start?
Hopefully, man, I would love, honestly, the perfect way that this season goes for the Browns is we roll with Kenny Pickett or whatever,
Hmm.
and he ends up being terrible. But we play him for like, I don't know, 10-ish weeks. Then we bring in Shadur and say we go like 3 and say he comes in for the last 6 games, we go 3-3.
Yeah.
But he looks pretty damn good. That's exactly what I would love because then we'd be obviously we'd have to lose out the first 11 weeks that Pickett is there. But say we finish 3-14, definitely looking at the top three pick again at least. And hopefully the Jaguars don't do anything as well. And then if Shador works out, we won't have to spend a top pick on a quarterback. We just pick probably Caden Proctor, offensive lineman out of Bama, and the best wide receiver available. That's my perfect offseason plus, you know, next season outlook for the Browns. But yeah, man, I mean the Patriots look good. They're favored for 11 games. I wouldn't be surprised if they sit at a calm 9-8.
I mean, it'd be nice to see the Patriots going 9-8. I'd like to see it. Maybe have a playoff showing, but I don't know if that will be the case. But Garrett, I think I'm getting a call. I think it's actually from the owner of the Browns. I think they want you as their new general manager because
No,
you're
do
already
they?
looking ahead. You're already looking
Yeah.
ahead to next year.
Yeah, I mean, what is there to look forward to this year? I mean, listen, if Shadur wins the starting job right away, which I don't think will happen, whether he looks like the best quarterback there or not,
Hmm.
um, I think they're going to ease him in, kind of thing. And like I said, hopefully he comes in like way into the season when we're already out of the playoffs and looking just like the worst team in the league, which I definitely wouldn't mind with the fact that we have the two first rounders next year. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, I can't sit here and not be excited for the future because I personally like the way our draft went. And like I said, we get the two first rounders next year. And if we hit on those picks, then who knows? Maybe the franchise is finally headed in the right direction.
Do you think you have your franchise quarterback on that roster?
I would love to say that we do. Obviously, I'm not like at the training camps and stuff like that. If we don't, at the very least, we haven't spent a pick higher than a third rounder on a quarterback the past few years. So, I mean, obviously, you could say that we technically did because we traded our first rounders for Deshaun. But listen, all Browns fans are trying to turn the page on that one, and obviously the jokes are always going to be there, but we all know that he's essentially taken his last snap as a Cleveland Brown, and hopefully we can just turn the page and finally, have some success.
Well, a team that did spend more draft capital on a quarterback than you was actually the New Orleans Saints, who drafted Tyler Shuck, and he's looking to make history. So obviously, we know Jake Hayner. He is expected to miss time with an oblique injury, but Tyler Shuck, the reason why he's trying to make history is he would be the first Saints rookie quarterback to start in Week 1 since Arch Manning.
Mm, wow, that's kind of surprising. I mean, I guess it makes sense because I mean, you don't often see rookie quarterbacks starting right away, but also
Hmm.
I guess with the history of the Saints, they've always had some pretty good or experienced quarterbacks in that room. So obviously they had Drew Brees for a while, so it's kind of just that, the cycle that every team goes through where, you know, no, except the Browns, obviously, but once you finally get your franchise guy, you don't look towards anybody else for a little bit. So
Yeah, and obviously they're hoping that they did find their franchise guy. There was speculation that maybe a possible veteran quarterback was possibly going to go to New Orleans, and we'll talk about him in just a few moments. But some Hard Knocks news. Hard Knocks has two different Hard Knocks coming in for training camp. It'll be with the Buffalo Bills, and this year in-season Hard Knocks will be on the NFC East showcase. What do you think of that, Gary?
that would be cool. I mean, outside of like that 1 year where the Redskins won the division at like 8-1 or whatever it was, or 8-8, whatever it was. I mean, that division's always been pretty tough. And, I feel like obviously with the Cowboys, but also the Giants and Philly. I mean, those are three big markets right there. We are kind of always watching them on primetime games. And, it'd be cool to see what goes on behind the scenes. And as for the Buffalo Bills, I mean, they've been one of the AFC powerhouses for a while now. Of course, they haven't been able to get a Super Bowl, but they're always, making some deep runs in the playoffs. So, same with them. It would be really cool to see what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm excited because, like you mentioned, the NFC East is always a tough division with all the potential. We saw the Commanders and the Eagles both make it to the NFC Championship games. The Cowboys always somewhat relevant in a way, and the Giants, they have their franchise quarterback for what they think a first-round pick this year. So him pairing up with Malik Neighbors is also another one to watch out for because of the fact that the Giants haven't had a winning season since a few years ago with Daniel Jones, that one irregular season of theirs.
Yeah, where they beat the Vikings in the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be an interesting one to watch, to be honest. I think it's going to be a good Hard Knocks. I kind of wish we did see the Buffalo Bills, though, as an in-season as well, because I was expecting it to kind of be the Buffalo Bills to be in season, only because this team always makes it to the AFC Championship. But can they, the one time they're being filmed, make it to the Super Bowl,
Yeah, no, that would definitely be cool.
Some other news is the Titans. They're looking to lighten the running back Tony Pollard's workload in 2025. He had a career high carries, 260 carries last season. Gary, what's your take on Tony Pollard? I don't think you're such a big fan on him anyways.
No, I mean, I was kind of a fan of his when he was in Dallas, and I actually was a fan of the move for the Titans. And to be honest with you, it actually worked out. But I'm actually a big Tajay Spears guy. I really like him. I think that if he got if he got a heavier workload, then he could explode onto the scene. But they don't really have a huge competitive running back room besides those two guys. So I want to know what that's actually going to lead to, because if it's more Tajay Spears, then I love that. Like I said, I'm a Tajay Spears guy, so I would love to see that. But if it's not, who are they going to look to? Because I'm looking at the depth chart right now. Julius Chestnut and Khalil Mullings from Michigan. So we'll see how that works out. But if it choose Tajay Spears more, I'm all about it because I've been on him for a while.
I think this is actually because they drafted Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is also going to get a bit of the workload. I mean, Will Levis wasn't really much. Yeah, Cam Ward, he's a guy that can scram out of the pocket, and we know that. I did a TikTok on how many. It was like a blind ranking of most rushing yards in fantasy for this season for running backs, I think. And I think Tony Pollard came up, and someone in the comments said, you forgot Cam Ward as a running back. And I said, oh, my fault, So we could see Cam Ward beating Tony Pollard, but I highly, highly doubted Tony Pollard would have to have a terrible, terrible season. And with the 260 carries, I believe, if I'm correct, he didn't have such a bad season. He had 1,000. He was 1,000-yard rusher. Didn't have many touchdowns though, just 5 touchdowns. But I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen if they are going to deload his workload. Maybe Maybe they bring in someone who's already a veteran in the league that's still a free agent. Maybe Nick Chubb.
Maybe. Although I think him to Chicago is just on fire right now. It seems so.
I mean, do they need more? Do they need more depth in running backs over there?
I don't know. Honestly, I mean, I don't know who's gonna be that like enforcing touchdown guy. Maybe Kyle Manung who they just drafted, who I was a big fan of at Rutgers. But I mean, I like DeAndre Swift. I liked him in Detroit, but I feel like he's kind of a one-trick pony. Or not. No, I won't say that. But I don't know. I think they're kind of lacking a guy with experience, and that could be what Nick Chubb brings. Like I said, I still think he has gas in the tank, so I'm going to root for him wherever he goes if he gets picked up.
Of course. I mean, I'd like to see him still have a chance in the NFL even after this injury, even if it's not anything like crazy, but still just give him a chance a little bit, even if it's depth. Speaking of running backs, offensive coordinator Chip Kelly for the Las Vegas Raiders, he has forced Ashton Jeanty to change his famous stance. Gary, you watch a lot more college than I do. What is your take on this? Do you like this from Chip Kelly in this offense?
I mean, to be honest, like I've never actually played football, so I don't know exactly what it changes. But yeah, I mean, Ashton Jeanty used to just stand up straight, kind of having that menacing look in the backfield. Now he's, the stereotypical hunched over, in a ready position, I guess you could say at the RB position. But I don't like it just in the sense that again, like I said, I've never played football, so I don't know exactly what it does change, but I feel like it's a comfortability thing, like for Jeanty, and that's why he was doing that in the first place. Is it unorthodox? Yes. I mean, you don't see a lot of guys doing it. I think Gibbs just started doing it too in the NFL, but I feel like it's just a comfortability thing, right? Like, why would you change that if the guy's comfortable with the way that he's doing it? Yeah. I don't think it's going to really factor in that much towards anything. But who knows? But I know Jeanty said that one day he's going to try to get it out of Chip Kelly to get him that, to let him, do that again. So maybe it is just a comfortability thing.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I mean, maybe if he struggles early with this new stance, maybe they'll change it back to his comfortability, like you were mentioning. But I'm still intrigued why. What's the point of changing it? Maybe obviously he wants more the NFL way. But again, either way, he's an elite running back. There's a chance he can succeed either way, whether it's back to his comfortability stance or if it's with this new stance.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it with Jeanty. Aaron Rodgers. He was asked if there would be any chance of him going to the Saints. And he said no. So that's completely out of the picture. But he believes, this was his biggest hint from Aaron Rodgers, no, but I believe there's a team that might play in Chicago this year on a road trip. I don't know. I'm not sure. Got to check it out. I love Chicago, though, way more than they love me. It's been a great relationship all one way. Now, the teams that are facing Chicago in Chicago are the Vikings, which doesn't rule out that possibility of Brett Favre's track. No. The Cowboys, which, again, they have Dak Prescott, and they traded for Joe Milton. The Saints, which are... What? Yeah. They also have the Saints, where the Saints, he said no to. They have the Giants, who just drafted Jackson Dart in the first round, unless the Giants decide that Jackson Dart is a piece player where maybe he's going to sit 1 year.
What about Russell Wilson?
And James Winston.
Exactly.
And James Winston. Don't forget that. True. Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a team that's facing Chicago. We'll move on to the next. Cleveland Browns. Highly doubt it.
Yes.
Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. Detroit Lions. Again, they have Jared Goff. And technically, can't rule it out, but Green Bay Packers are also facing.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just for publicity, to be honest with you, because he knows, like, I mean, what were really the top three teams that were like talked about as to getting him? The Giants, who, I mean, I guess you could just throw them in there because, like, how many teams realistically are actually trying to get Rodgers now? Um,
Hmm.
but they were one of the teams mentioned. The Vikings, of course, were one of the teams mentioned, and then obviously the saga with the Steelers. So I feel like it's just Aaron Rodgers trying to do the publicity stunt type of thing. Um, but I'll tell you what, man, I'm kind of growing sick of this. I love Rodgers, and he's the reason why the Packers are my NFC team. But man, I'm kind of sick and tired of hearing about this. Just make a decision, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still confirmed that he's going to go to the Steelers.
Mhm.
And Will Howard already stated that he's good backing up and learning from Aaron Rodgers. So I think it's just a moment of time where he'll sign. I don't know. Is there like some specific date that Aaron Rodgers wants to sign on?
I don't know.
what is this? What is this? Why is he delaying it so much?
I don't know. Maybe he just really is contemplating, um,
Being a
what's it
couch
called? Retiring.
potato or
Retiring. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, honestly. Um, but yeah, we'll have to see. Like I said, I'm kind of sick and tired of hearing about it. Listen, if you know, if he is to go to the Steelers, I wouldn't like that because, like I said, I like Rodgers, but I also like Will Howard. So if I'm going to watch the Steelers play, I kind of want it to be Will Howard because, like, I'm now rooting for him to kind of grow into his own quarterback role, in which I've been said that if he goes to a good system, which I think the Steelers can be, I think
Hmm.
he can be a good quarterback. So I love to see him get a shot. Now, if it's
yeah,
in a few years behind Rodgers, that's cool too. But I just you know hurry up.
I quite literally hurry up Aaron Rodgers. What if this is like an Aaron Rodgers move where he doesn't want to be a part of training camp, OTAs, or anything, and he's ready to sign when it comes like August, when it's really
Yeah,
time to show up?
I mean, I could see that too, but I mean, what if it's just like this is just so stupid? But like, imagine he just like signs with like just an outlandish team, just like he signs with like the Jaguars. It's like so stupid. Like no one ever expected this. Just like I don't know, but that would literally be the funniest thing ever. It's just like we're all waiting for the saga to hear the news that he's either signing with the Steelers or retiring. I think that's the two options right now. Literally the only
Yeah.
two options. But then we see this. Oh, what happened here? And he's just like the new quarterback of the Falcons. Like,
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. Wouldn't shock me. Would
yeah,
not shock me whatsoever, especially if he wasn't looking for the money, which I do think he is looking for the money.
yeah, I did too.
So, Kyle in chat saying thoughts on the Steelers this year. Obviously, Gary, how much of a win difference do you give them between Will Howard and Aaron Rodgers? Is there a big significant difference?
Oh, probably like two because you can chalk them up for being a 9-8 team each year, and I mean, as of right now, I'd say I'd give the nod to Aaron Rodgers over Will Howard. But if you ask me that in a few years, like I think you could say Will Howard has the edge. Um, but we'll see. I mean, like I said, you can always chalk them up for a 9-8 season. No matter how worse they get from the year before, they always manage to be either in playoffs or on the edge of that playoff picture. Um, as much as I hate them and I hate those colors, they're always in the fight for a playoff spot. So I wouldn't be surprised if they are the same way this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. Again, it's a tough division. They're going to have to go to Baltimore. They're going to have to face Cleveland, which could be they could sweep both of them. They got to face Cincinnati, which is again going to be tough. Not only that, they also have Green Bay, Detroit, Buffalo, Los Angeles, Chargers, Chicago, Minnesota. Like, there's some good teams that they're facing.
Hmm.
This isn't relatively an easy schedule for them this season compared to other seasons. So this team could easily go 9-8, like you mentioned, but it also could just be the first time we could see a losing season. But again, you
Yeah.
can never count out Mike Tomlin and his winning season records.
Yeah.
Quick question before we quickly move on. If Aaron Rodgers goes there and they lose the first 4 games of the season, do they release Aaron Rodgers?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think the money aspect is the biggest thing. How much money they're going to lose? Because I don't necessarily think that tanking is a bad thing for the Steelers. Because I mean, we talk about the fact that they've kind of been in this pit of mediocrity for a while now. 9-8 seasons left and right, and they haven't gotten out of the first round in a little while. So I don't necessarily think a tankathon is the worst thing in the world for them. Snag up a top 10 pick, get a good rookie, maybe trade some pieces for some more draft stock, and who knows, maybe you're looking at a total, quick 2-year rebuild. That I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are more than capable enough of getting.
Yeah, I mean, I can easily see that happening. It's just, I don't know if we'll see that happen unless Mike Tomlin leaves. I think that's the bigger question, because Mike Tomlin's been there for so long. I think, if anything, if they want to fully rebuild, I think it's just time to move on from Mike Tomlin. He's a great coach, but he's not that coach that's going to bring you far, or the furthest anyways. Yeah. Lastly, NFL spring meeting took place. 4 big proposals that came out of it. There obviously needs to be 24 out of the 32 teams that vote to pass the proposal for it to officially pass. We'll start first with the playoff seeding procedures. They're going to stay put. The Lions decided that they're just going to take away the proposal that was originally reseeding the teams in the playoffs. So we saw the Lions be the number 5 seed, I believe, with 14 wins. And now all of a sudden they maybe didn't get enough support, probably knew it wasn't going to pass. So you take it back. So we're going to see a regular playoffs once again. But I think this is just going to be tabled until next year. I think we're going to talk about it more next year if it happens again, like it happened this past season.
I kind of am like two-faced on this. Like, the only years that we've seen the Browns get into the playoffs, they obviously haven't hosted a playoff game. But, if they had passed this rule 2 years ago, they would have hosted the Texans in a playoff game. And granted, with the way that one went, I don't think it would have mattered. But, I mean, me personally, I would just love to see a playoff game in Cleveland. Granted, easy answer is win the division. But, it's more than that. Obviously, we're been in despair for so long, but that division is just so tough. And like, you take the AFC South for an example, where the Texans are. I want to say that they finished 10-7, maybe even 9-8 that year. And Stroud was hurt for a couple. Yeah, I think it was 10-7, but we finished 11-6. So obviously we were better record wise. And I kind of get what, I believe the Lions it was that proposed this. I get what they're kind of getting at. It's like, why reward the 8-1 team for, having such a mediocre season, and then having the 12-4 team or 12-5 team, whatever it is, have to go into their stadium and beat them. I get it. But at the same time, the teams that win their divisions with a terrible record don't necessarily ask for the record or ask for the schedule that they've got, and they just play the teams in front of them. And if you're a 12-5 team, no matter what, you should probably go into the 8-1 team's building and beat them. So I kind of am two-faced on this. I could, love it or hate it. I wouldn't hate it, wouldn't love it if they, changed it up. I could just leave it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm honestly on the same boat as you, because it'd be nice to obviously see like the best of the best records be on top of the seeding, which is technically how it should be. But again, based on how it is, I think there is a way where the teams that win the division do deserve some type of advantage than other teams who didn't win the division. For say, obviously, you could say the Lions and the Vikings, who should have, or Green Bay, like who should have won the division, even though they were all really good teams. So I think I'm on the same boat. It could go either way, but again, it wouldn't be the end of the world if it got passed or if it didn't get passed.
Yeah.
Another one is the NFL player participation in the Olympics. You can now have one player from each team go and play in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty exciting for these players. There's want to play flag football in it, but couldn't because of the regulations. But league owners have unanimously approved this permission for them to participate in that 2028 Olympics. I mean, this is a 10-player Olympic rosters. It'll be selected for the national committee for each country with 6 teams each in separate tournaments for men and women, and only one player per NFL club would be allowed for each country. The game itself is a 5-on-5 competition on a 50-yard field. And this Olympics obviously expected to take place between July 14th and 30th.
That's cool. I mean, I'd obviously watch it, as I'm sure most football fans would. The only thing is I wouldn't be a big fan of, if my, star went out there and tore a hamstring or, tore his ACL, making a cut in the ground or something, of course, that's kind of the stuff that people talk when talking, and if they don't get passed or they're not allowed to do these things, the public's going to, react in a negative way and say, oh, this is the no fun league. So, you obviously have two sides to each coin. But I think it's going to be fun. Just, of course, the biggest thing is make sure these players, escape healthy.
Yeah, and there is an injury clause, I believe, in it where it does protect these teams with injuries. For say, I believe if there is an injury, like they wouldn't get that, like the cap hit would kind of go away or something along those lines. So there is some protection for the teams that are sending the players, but I don't think there's so much protection for the players themselves.
Yeah.
Another one, the onside kick rule has been changed once again.
Good.
Nothing too crazy. I mean, they voted in favor to change the onside rule, kick rule from the 35-yard line to the 34-yard line. This is also allowing teams to onside kick or declare an onside kick without it being the fourth quarter. They can now onside kick it in the third quarter or whenever during the game, as long as they are trailing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really get it. Like, I don't know why you have to trailing. I don't know why it could only be in the fourth quarter. Of course, I mean, how many times have we actually seen a scenario where teams, onside kicked prior to the fourth quarter, or if they weren't down? But I feel like that's just stuff that you don't really need to change. And I don't really get the 1 yard line difference, to be honest with you. But
I think the 1 yard difference allows these players that are running for the ball to have like an extra kind of chance to get it. And 1 yard, makes a big difference. It decides ball games,
maybe.
Gary. Decides ball games.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
I did read up on it a little bit more. I saw one site giving me a 6% success rate this past season, another one giving an 8%. So either way, it's between 6 and 8% success rate for these onside kicks, which is very, very, very low for you to get the onside kick. But the whole point of an onside kick is you're in desperate need of trying to get the ball back, and it's kind of like a Hail Mary in a way. As much as I love seeing onside kicks and I would love to see more teams win it, I think it's great that it's a low percentage because you're not supposed to get an onside kick every time. It would defeat the purpose.
And I mean, like, in the big scheme of things, just don't be in a position to where you need to get an onside kick, right?
And in the position of that, don't be a Cleveland Brown.
Got that right.
Man. One last one before we get into this whole show. The tush push. The Green Bay Packers proposed the tush push, and it unfortunately failed to reach the full 24 votes by 2 votes.
Yeah, I mean, Browns and Patriots stood strong. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, the Browns, the Ravens, the Patriots, the Lions, Jaguars, Dolphins, Saints, Titans, and Jets, alongside the Eagles, of course. They voted against banning the tush push. Again, I think this comes at a time where if you can't beat them, then just play better. Try to play better. Why are you banning it? I think they found a play that works for them, and they're running with it because they have a success rate with it. I think if you can't beat it, just work on trying to stop it. There shouldn't be a ban on it.
And I mean, I hate it as much as the next guy, to be honest with you. I know all my Saquon Barkley fans or Saquon Barkley owners in fantasy hate it. Granted, you don't need all those points with Saquon Barkley because he's already RB1. But yeah, it's not a fun play to watch, especially with how the game moves. It's a cheap play, but that doesn't mean that we could just totally eradicate it because they're so good at it. That's like saying we should get rid of that's like saying back in 2021, 22, when Lamar Jackson was exploding onto the scene, that we should take away, the QB draw or QB option, you know what I'm saying? Because they ran it so well for all those years. So I don't really see why this was even remotely close, to be honest with you. It just shows that, maybe we're kind of getting softer as a league, but this isn't the first indicator of that.
Yeah, it's not really. I'm glad. I'm sure it's going to be, again, talked about next season if they are successful with it. But fun fact, did you notice that no NFC East teams voted against it?
I didn't notice that. No, I didn't.
Every NFC East team voted to ban it, which obviously, it's not surprising. They have to face him twice.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. But I like that our team stood strong and fought for the right thing.
Well, let's get into the most important part of this show, and it is, in fact, the Dynasty Rookie Superflex mock draft. 5.0. This is now the 5th one we've done. It's been a big hit. A lot of people have been loving it. We have someone on, like last time, Armani's on. He is officially on this time, so he will be picking. But we are all in a line. We're in the conga line, which kind of stinks because, Gary, you might get sniped twice, and I might get sniped once. And given I've been in drafts with Armani, I think he knows how I've been drafting. So let's get the show on the road. Ashton Genty, Marion Hampton, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward go in the first 4. And Armani, I think, would take Travion, and of course, he very much does. I'm on the clock here, and I'm going to take, I'm going to take T-Mac.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would have done, to be honest with you. And if T-Mac fell to me at 7, that's no brainer.
Yeah, and you obviously went with Judkins. No surprise there. No. I thought about taking Judkins.
I'll be honest with you. I think after Judkins, at least for this year, there's kind of a big fall off.
Yeah. Amika Ibuka, Caleb Johnson, Tyler Warren round out the first round. Then in the second round, Colson Loveland, Jackson Dart, RJ Harvey, Matthew Golden go in the first 4 picks. Then Luther Burton, RJ Harvey falling a little bit, Jackson Dart rising a little bit. We've seen kind of shaken up. Luther Burton being taken by Armani. Now this is the draft place where I would draft Jalen Milroe. But I've started to get some love for a specific player, and this player actually ended up falling right to me, and I'm starting to like him more and more, and that is Jaden Higgins.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I think he's going to instantly slot in at that wide receiver 2 spot. probably. And with how high octane passing offense the Houston Texans are, that's just a ton of opportunities. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a guy that kind of has been the same thing for me. I've kind of fallen in love with him. I fell in love with him when he was at Ole Miss playing with Jackson Dart, and I think he went to an A+ landing spot, probably a top 3, maybe the best landing spot. He could have fell in the league. Trey Harris.
Yep. Knew that one. Knew that one was going to happen. Cam Scadebo going next. Jack Beck. Jalen Milrow falling to 210 is probably the most surprising one. I didn't expect Milrow to actually fall all the way to 210. He's been going kind of mid round in the second round. In the next round, Taylor Shuck, Kyle Williams going 3-2. I know if it went to Armani at 3-5, he would have taken him. So I think he might be a little upset here. Then Tutton and Noel going. Armani taking Noel. Also, Mason Taylor going at 3-3. I'm on the clock here, and I have a few options.
Riser. Look at that riser, huh? Look at the guy best available.
What, Jaden Blue?
He's moving up the boards, is he not? I used to get him like
late fourth,
early to mid fourth, and
yeah,
now he's jumping up to the mid second or mid third.
Well, I tell you, I will give you Jaden Blue if you'd like, because I have my eyes on someone who has also been rising up the boards and who's been finally getting picked over a player that was drafted ahead of him, and that's Shedeur Sanders.
Nice.
Did I snipe you?
No, I honestly was going with
you. Want to take Jaden Blue?
Well, either him or Terrence Ferguson. I actually really like Terrence Ferguson. I think that he's going to be the future, the tight end spot for the Rams. They've kind of been running like these 2 or 3 tight end groups. You know, they've had Higbee, they had Parkinson, who they gave a bag to. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's also a big part of their offense next year too. But I think in the future, Terrence Ferguson is going to be pretty good. But I guess I'll just play my cards right. And, you know, I'm drafting off of how one of my teams is kind of going. And I got Ingram and Otton as my tight ends. So I think I'm doing pretty good. And I'm going to go with Jaden Blue, the guy that
yeah,
I've been talking about for a while.
What a turn of events. Jaden Blue has just been your pick every single time, regardless, really. Ferguson goes right after, though, that you were talking about when you were debating between him or Ferguson. Then Arroyo, then Sampson. Royals, Fannin, Howard, and Helm go in the beginning of the 4th round. Armani's on the clock here, and there's some options that are available, but they're dwindling down, I must say. And I think he's panicking. Pat Bryant. I'm still trying to see why I think he's finally starting to get drafted, but for a while he wasn't getting drafted in these drafts.
Pat Bryant, did he go yet? Oh no, there he is.
No. But I was thinking he might. Horton is who Armani takes. I'm going to take a guy who, you know, there's four running backs here that I think have potential, and Devin Neal because of Kamara's age, Trevor Etienne because Carolina has Miles Sanders, and if Miles Sanders can continue on being what he was, then that's fine. Ollie Gordon, a good backup for Devon Achane, who has had Mostert as a nice running back complement. And then DJ Giddens, who Jonathan Taylor we've seen have injuries in the past. But I'm going to take a guy who I've been taking a lot recently, and it's Ollie Gordon.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the guy that I've actually really loved in this spot. He's
Dylan Gabriel.
Drafts. No, I would never take him in a 10-round Dynasty draft. Now, this is a guy that's actually fallen a little bit. I'm kind of surprised to see that. The guy in front of him is a great talent, but he's getting kind of older. And this guy played really, really good at Kansas. I'm going to take Devin Neal. I think that he could be a great player for the future. And like I said, Kamara, he's 30, I think turning 31 maybe before the start of the season. So might not be too long till we see a little bit of Devin Neal.
Yeah, again, that's what I was meaning. Like, it depends on Kamara and how he is feeling with how old he is, and how Father Time, if it's going to catch up to him. But again, Devin Neal could be a good compliment, especially in the 4th round. You're not spending much draft capital on him, unless you spent a 2nd round draft capital on Kendre Miller a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers, and Aya Manora going at the back half of the 4th round. Again, Gary, Dylan Gabriel still finding a way to get drafted.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It really is. Quickly recapping, it seems like your team was in desperate need of running backs, and you wanted to complement a solid wide receiver 2 or 3 on your roster. Is that how you kind of was drafting here? How you feeling?
Yeah, like I said, of course, I take my own team into account. I'm drafting in the 7th spot, and my running backs are Derrick Henry and Bucky Irving. So, I mean, I do have, kind of a young stud in Bucky Irving, but and after that, it's terrible. I have like Eckler and, nobody really playable. So I kind of need the young running backs to come up. Unless T-Mac were to fall at me at 7 and Henderson and Judkins were to go ahead of me, I'm taking Travion or Judkins at 1-7 all day, whoever is there. I haven't seen Henderson fall to 1-7 yet, but if he does, it's a no-brainer, obviously. So that's kind of how I thought about that. And then obviously Jaden Blue and Devin Neal I just took for value. Again, young running backs that maybe can turn into something in a few years. And Trey Harris, like I said, he's been a guy that I've loved all throughout this draft process. I think he went to an A+ landing spot. And if all goes well, maybe he could be a really solid wide receiver too.
Would you say out of the 5 wide receivers being drafted in the 2nd round, Trey Harris is your number 1 out of those?
I'm not gonna lie. That is such a hard group to rank. If I'm being
It is. I'm trying to do my rankings here, and it's tough to rank these 5.
The thing with me, I think Jack Beck being last is a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, Marcus Golden. I mean, I don't know what to think about him, man. Matthew Golden. Sorry, I don't know what to think about him. I don't know if he's going to be a wide receiver 1, and I don't think any of these guys are. But I really just think that Matthew Golden's not really going to be anything besides a slot guy, maybe a high-end slot guy, but nothing more than that. So I just like the value more in Trey Harris, I guess. And I think Burden and Higgins can both be better than Golden as well. But we'll just have to see. Obviously, out of all the offenses, Golden probably landed in one of the better ones. But, Houston and LA are both debatably better on the same wavelength. So, that's such a hard group to rank.
It really is.
But I would probably put him either 2 or 3 out of the 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably put Higgins at 1, then Harris at 2.
Yeah. It's either. I mean, I think Harris and Golden, I can go either or. I think Higgins might be 1, and then Golden and Harris are interchangeable probably for me.
Yeah. For me, obviously, it seems to me that my team was in desperate need of wide receivers. So I'm wide receiver heavy here. Needed to complement in the Superflex League for maybe a backup quarterback, a guy who's probably not going to start in his first few games, or even in the first season. And then Ollie Gordon, just kind of a security blanket for running back handcuff, could say.
Yeah, I mean, he was the guy that exploded at Oklahoma State the first few years. Wasn't so great last year, but all the potential in the world there. So that's definitely one of the better guys that you can get in the late 4th.
And then lastly for Armani, it seems as if he needed a running back heavy team, quarterback and tight end he was fine with, including myself as well and including yourself. But Henderson, obviously he needed a big running back dog, and ended up being Travion Henderson, maybe because he was also a New England fan. But then the rest, he needed wide receiver depth and potential, and that led to Burton, Knoll, and Horton.
Yeah.
What do you think about this draft? Do you think it went well?
Went well. I mean, obviously the top 7 is essentially solidified. I mean, depending on who you are. Maybe like that 4 through 7 kind of gets mixed up. But I think the top 7 guys are the top 7 guys.
Couldn't say anything better than that. That was clear cut perfect. I mean, first 7 is clear cut. Maybe even first 8, because we know Emeka Egbuka is a guy who's also usually going at 8. But other than that, I think we might have one more mock draft before it's officially over and we're done with mock drafts. But these are the Dynasty Superflex mock drafts, which is not ruling out our redraft mock drafts, which obviously will be coming later on this summer, just before you guys really start drafting for your redraft leagues. But again, if you haven't done so already, go use that code SportsTimeHQ down below on Underdog Fantasy. They're going to match your first deposit up to $1,000. So can't go wrong. Go get yourself that code SportsTimeHQ and get that first match up to $1,000. Can never go wrong. Again, if you haven't done so already as well, go get that trophy, ring, or belt on TrophySmack.com/SportsTimeHQ. Would love to do giveaways for Trophy Smack, but again, you guys got to use that code, start purchasing some things, then we can start giving away more giveaways. And yeah, again, TrophySmack.com/SportsTimeHQ. We're here every single Wednesday and Sunday. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and Sundays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I was joined by my great co-host, Gary. Go follow him all over social media at GED Picks. I'm your host, Fernando, and we'll see you all on Wednesday.